Okay, we're live. June 13th, 2023. We got a problem here. Things look crooked here. What's going on here? Okay, that looks better. All right, how is everybody? I'm doing really good. I had a great day. I had a great weekend. And when Jill asked me what our subject was going to be for tonight, no problem. No problem. Let's see. What did she wind up calling it? Okay, we got chat going, so you guys are more than welcome to chime in on things. I'm really okay with that tonight. I wish everybody was over. I wish everybody could come over, and we could just sit at the kitchen table and have some nice coffee. I got a good cup of coffee going today, and there's not going to be any problem sleeping tonight because I've been going like a madman today, just enjoying every minute of it. And let's see, our show tonight is sponsored by Tribe Plus. Okay, if you're not in Tribe Plus, you need to. You can get over to anyonecanfarmexperience.com and join up Tribe Plus, 14 cents per day. And then all of the information that's behind the paywall is yours. And what that does is that fuels us so we can make them around here as far as building these homesteading skills courses and running down the manufacturer's discounts, Jill's blog, although I don't think she gets paid. I know I don't get paid. I get fed. Okay, we're good. But Joe's got to get paid. So he's the one that does the videos. And as far as I know, the videos have been doing really well. I'm not going to check them now. I don't feel like it. But what did I say today was? Let's see. It's the 13th. 13th. That's really cool that it's the 13th. Is it cool that it's the 13th? It is to me. On a Tuesday. All right, so tonight's show is going to be sponsored by Tribe Plus. Please join us in Tribe Plus. Help us out. Get all that good information that's behind there. We live by, if you do the thing, you will have the power. Well, the things that we do, we teach them on Tribe Plus. All just little pieces. So you come to the homesteading world and you've come here for a reason. Now get yourself educated, because if you don't, you're going to make a bunch of dumb mistakes that you don't need to make. So Tribe Plus is there to share that information other than what we share here. I think we're pretty easy going about sharing here. Oh, my microphone wasn't close. So I heard somebody racing this direction. How's that now? Oh, nice. Oh, I see what's going on. That guy needs to have a Leatherman in his pocket at all times. Right there. This is my anodized version. You can see it's black. And every couple of days I switch it out with my stainless steel one. I don't know. I think I like black one better. I just like the look of it. But we had an interesting conversation last week with Joel Salatin, and I asked him what he carries on his belt, and he says, "Whoa, kudos to you, because nobody's ever asked me that before." So I asked a question that nobody else asked, so that was pretty cool. And I wanted to keep it just simple. You know, we're out here and we're collecting eggs and we're growing gardens and we're building fences and we have pigs in pens, and then we learn to butcher and we learn to prepare meat, and we learn all the things, right? And I didn't really want to go, well, let's talk about what's happening in the world with mRNA vaccines. And, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to keep it really basic, really basic. And I think that's important to do. That's going to be me. I'm not going to get involved with all those things going on out there. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I want to focus on the good, the true, and the beautiful. And when I focus on what, Anthony Fauci's doing, I'm not focusing on the good, the true, or the beautiful. So, I can, talk to you about a car wreck that I saw years ago and how terrible it was, but that's not good, true. That's true, but it's not beautiful. Let's talk about the good, the true, and the beautiful. So this is real easy for me tonight to talk about this. First of all, let me tell you what our weekend was like. We had a class going on Saturday, right? And it was a pastured poultry class. And in years gone by, I mean, on the booklet that we give out for people that come to the class, there's 2 people on there, and they were Polish. There's a picture of 2 people, and then this other gal that was a missionary. She's Indian, and then me. And that was the class. That was the first one that we did. So it wasn't a very big class, but it really ties up 2 days. Back then it tied up 2 days. In those days, we did a chicken tractor build. We don't do it that way now. We only do 1 day, and we can pack more in, and because we're better instructors now than we were before. But Saturday we had 28 people that came, and it was really something. And I'm trying to be objective on my commentary. I'm really trying, right? And okay, so when the class is going on, usually there's major parts of the class that are mine, that I'm teaching, and then Jill kind of takes over, and then everybody's throwing down and butchering chickens, and I'm just kind of floating around, and I try to step back and I try to observe what's going on here. All right. All right. Sean Wise is with us. That's another thing that happened this weekend. I get to meet Sean. Keith Sutton's with us. JK from California. California. All right. Keith Sutton, Belva. Okay, cool. Inga, right on. Right on. All right. So when a class like that is going on, I try to step back and I try to observe. Now, what is really going on here? How is it that you can offer a class to show people how to raise chickens out on pasture and how to build structures and how to process the chickens? It's gross. Processing chickens is gross. And you'll have 28 people that will respond to that. And when they're here, they are leaning forward. And when I say leaning forward, I mean they are listening to what you're saying intently, good attitudes, happy, enthusiastic. And I say this all the time, they have a sense of urgency. Maybe that's something from me. Maybe I'm the one that's looking for that, and you might not be looking for that. That might be a military thing. When the guys that work for me, if they're lackadaisical, I don't want that. I want them to have a sense of urgency about what we're doing. We've got to get this done now. If they have a lackadaisical attitude towards break time, yeah, that's good. That's good. But a lackadaisical attitude towards what we're doing, no, that's not good. I don't like that. And I'm an instructor in a class here at my farm. If somebody is got a lackadaisical attitude, It's like, well, okay, you paid for the class. If you want to be lactate, that's on you. They're, I notice it, but I'm saying it's not like there wasn't anybody that had a lackadaisical attitude. But the vast majority of this class was like, we need to know how to do this. And they're asking questions like, what about this? What about this? What about this? So I start the class off and I say, my goal for you is to be able to ring the hatchery on your way home this afternoon. Probably wouldn't work because we went kind of late. But Monday morning, ring the hatchery and order up chicks. And by the time they arrive, your brooder is built. By the time your brooder is built, your first chicken tractor is built. By the time that's done and your chickens are in the chicken tractor and they're getting on towards their 8 to 10 weeks of growth, you are building your processing area where you're going to do this. And you will need, and then boom, 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 boom. We have a list of things that you will need. Now, my goal for them was to be able to carry that task out, that mission out. We're going to teach you how to do something. Now go and do it, right? And I have no way of knowing, who does it and who doesn't do it. But I got a feeling from the questions that I was getting about building a processing area and about, building a chicken tractor, about predation, about feed, about feeders, about watering systems, all that stuff, that these guys were going to go and do it. And there was 28 of them. Our subject tonight is community. It is the silver bullet. Community is the silver bullet. And when we talk community, there's a lot of aspects of community. And I think a lot of times it gets thrown out like they're like the gay community, There's a lot that goes on if you think about that, but it's sort of like just this homogenous thing, right? Well, in this community, in the homestead community, there are so many colors, in there. So many colors, maybe it isn't the word I want, maybe facets, all right? Facets of that. A facet being like a disco ball. Every one of those little mirrors is a facet, right? And they all reflect back at a totally different angle and and they catch light from a different angle. So there are so many different facets to homesteading and small farms. So many. Okay, so it was a magic day Saturday. It was just a magic day, and I step back and I say, now what makes it this way? I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm looking forward to the pastured poultry day next year, or I'm thinking maybe we should have another one this year because it was so much fun, right? And I knew it was going to be fun. I was anticipating it. I knew some of the people that were coming too, and I was anticipating it. And as I rolled into it, it was like I knew these people, even though I didn't know them. And right off the bat, the magic was there. I don't know. Have you ever been invited to a party and you just have fun? Even if you don't know anybody, you're just getting along good and yucking it, and you're learning interesting things from people, and it's just fun. I don't know. I don't really go to parties anymore. Maybe family get-togethers, and every now and then we'll have one that'll be really fun. The ones at my house, they're almost always fun. But I mean, like the greater family, sometimes, I know the feeling of being like an outsider. Like nobody wants to talk to you because they don't want to get you going. Well, when it's at my house, people talk to me because they kind of like to hear what I have to say. And something like this gathering that we had, I wanted to know from them and they wanted to know from me. We all were really interacting and it was really fun. So it was probably community at its at the best that I've seen it. At the best that I've seen it, I would have to say at that point. And when it was over and the last person left, we looked at each other and well, I didn't actually. When we have things like that, everybody kind of goes their own way. You know, my staff here, they all go their own way and they got to decompress a little bit. It's like I've been talking with people all day long. I don't really talk to you guys. So everybody goes their own way. We reconvene. That night we got pizzas of all things. Oh, that's a story in itself. And we sat at the campfire and ate. And then sun went down. It was probably 10 o'clock. And like everybody was like, where's bed? I'm going to bed. Real good day. But I had to say to myself, this magic that is involved with that community. How are we doing this? What is making this happen? You know, because we have the same thing at Tribe Day. We have the same thing at Hog Harvest. We have the same thing at canning workshops. I don't really get in on those as much as I should. The midwinter meetup, fun times, just real fun times. And I have to say at this point, when I look at the picture, okay, I look at the picture on the pasture poultry workbook that we give out, and I see these two Polish people, and then the Indian missionary chick, and me, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't happening. This is John Spears, but I can't answer it. It just wasn't the same. It was very early on in the teaching business, and it just wasn't the same. So then so I just asked myself a bunch of questions. How does this happen? How do we do this? What are we doing here? If I had to tell somebody else how to do this, what would I tell them? And then Sunday rolls around. Sunday, we had rain, and we needed rain. We haven't had rain for a long time. I don't think we got any rain in May. We may have got a little, but not enough. And it was pretty darn dry. It's caused a lot of things to not operate the way they should, and a lot of forest fires. Not a good thing. So when I woke up Sunday morning and it was raining, I was a very happy person, very happy person. And then, I had things to do, and I was going about my business, and Sean Wise came down. Sean hit me up. He says, "Hey, I got some nice pigs here. You might be interested." And we made a deal. And part of the deal was he was going to bring them. So he's my neighbor. He's a couple hours away, and so he brought them, and we stood around and talked for a while. It was me and Jill, him and his wife and his son, and a couple kids. We just talked and yucked it up a pretty good fair share. I hadn't met Sean ever, but he's been on here for a long time, and so that was nice. And we had a good time. We had a really good time. When they left, I thought, wow, nice people. I feel very fortunate to be in a place where I get to meet people like this, and spend quality time with good people. And so again, I'm asking myself the question, how is this community, what is making this work, right? Then Monday came, and we had plans to meet with a couple of people because there's an idea that's been floating around, and we wanted to discuss it. And the people were me and Jill, Sam and Tatum, Aaron and Zeke, Parker and Lauren, and my kids, and Cubby, our intern guy that's helping us. And so we have this idea, and I won't go into the idea right now. I will a little later. Maybe I will today. But we had this idea, and we needed to come together to talk about this idea. And I still have this question looming in my mind. Everyone shows up for, we're going to feed them. We're going to break bread, right? So everybody shows up. Some of them came a little bit late. And so we're sitting out on the porch. It's a little windy out. And then we come into the house. Somebody had a fire going. It was pretty chilly last night. And, I go and wash my hands, come around the corner. The table is a big pile of chicken that Jill made on there, big bowl of green beans and all this great stuff, And everybody's sitting down, come around the corner, and it's like that question got answered right then. And I said, man, this feels powerful. And that was the feeling that I got. And I had asked the question, and there it was. There it was. Oh, that wasn't the answer. But that was the impression that I got from this group of people that had come together to discuss something, and this had to do with Tribe Day. And we sat down and ate a little bit, and then the discussion started. And then before you knew it, we had it hammered out. I had it written down on a piece of paper, and we were ready to go. But community doesn't happen because if you go to a restaurant, that is not community. There may be some, but it is not a prerequisite that bringing a group of people together is going to create community. And I happened to see this yesterday. I had to go into town and I needed a battery for the Jeep. I needed a 6-volt battery. And my usual place, Napa, uptown, they closed my account. And the lady that takes care of the accounts, she's on vacation. All right, well, I could have paid for it with a check or credit card, but I was like, well, why did you close my account? And they were like, well, we don't know. So-and-so's on vacation. I said, well, then find out. I'll stand here and wait. We have the batteries sitting on the counter, and my old battery is in their junk battery bin. And it's like, well, we can't because she's on vacation. I said, then call the owner. That's what you do. You call the owner then. And he knows me, and he will say, give him the batteries. I've had an account there for 20 years. Had is the key word. I do not have an account there, and I'm not going to open it. But anywho, I had to go track down a battery, and I did find a battery. But I noticed when I was in town, people are looking straight ahead. They're not looking at each other. When you engage someone in a conversation that you don't know, like, hey, how's it going? Yes, I got a couple of those. Like, what do you want from me? No, I was just saying hi. You don't know me. I know, but this is how we greet each other. This is how we maintain friendliness and community. And so I believe that right now, today is a day for intense celebration, because what happened here this weekend and last night, and to some degree with Sean and his family, that's community, and that's a beautiful thing. I mean, that is. I don't know if Sean and I solved any major problems, but he helped me out with a good deal on some pigs. I compensated him. He got to see my place. I got to give him my views on raising Mangalitsa pigs. I mean, we definitely exchanged conversation, and it was a pleasant time. You can't buy that. You can't buy that. And when we have these pleasant times, we need to embrace them. Like, I don't know the guy, but I kind of feel like if I called him on his way home and said, hey, could you come back? We have a problem and I need a hand with something. I believe he would have. I believe he would have. Honestly, I believe he would have. And he could have like, well, I got my money. I dumped the pigs. No, see ya. I'm going home. I don't think that's the way he would do it. And I believe that. I'm not just saying I believe that. And I believe the pastured poultry day, I believe I could call on those people, even though I don't know them, but we spent the day together and we got something done. I believe that if I said I need some help with something before you people go, I think that I would get it. I'm quite sure that I would get it. When I was in town, I was telling Jill about this today. A lady pulled ahead and was going to back into a space, and I didn't know she was going to do that, and I pulled in to the space, and it seemed like a really weenie thing to do. So I pulled through the space, and I pulled to the next row. It was plenty of room, you know. But when I got out, I was going to say, hey, I didn't want to steal your parking space. I didn't mean to do that. And, you know, like instead of these confrontations that you see in parking lots that are just ugly, I wanted to do something nice and say, hi, how are you? We're both going in the farm store. Isn't this fun? But, you know, she never even looked at me. And then at the register, I saw the way she treated the girl at the register, as though the girl at the register was a machine or something. And then I had to go out and get my batteries, come back, and I passed her again, did not even look at me, right? And you see a lot of that, right? And so when I reflected on the community that I got to engage in Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I thought, how different, what a contrast, right? And so I guess sometimes I say, well, you need to do this. But I don't think that, you know, I don't think that's the way I want to approach this. I want to inform you of something that I've discovered, that over the years we have cultivated relationships with people as if our lives would depend on it, because that's the culture that I came from in the military. You cultivate relationships with people that they may be holding a rope that you're dangling from, you know, theoretically. You know, I wasn't you know, a mountain climber by any chance, but you know, that is you do have your comrade's life in your hands at you're fixing a guy's airplane that's going to be flying it extremely fast and doing maneuvers and stuff, and he's relying on the ground crews to do their job. The ground crews are citizens, and they're relying on this guy to fly air cover for the base that they work on or the country that they live in. So we all have each other's lives in our hands, and we do out here too. I think what we went through in 2020 was an exercise by them to divide people, to put everybody in a category by themselves. And I think it worked partially. I don't think it worked totally. I don't think they get anything totally done. And so long as they don't get it all done, then there's still quite a large chance. So community building is like integrity building. Like, there were times in my life where I'm sure that my father said that kid's got zero integrity, because I didn't have much integrity. I didn't know that. And then early on in aviation career. It got better, but not real good. Early on in my military career, it was growing. Integrity was growing, but it took time. It took willpower on my part to do the right thing when nobody was looking. That type thing. And I think it's the same thing with community building. Like, I have a direction that I'm going now. I know what to do. Community building is something that has to be paramount. It has to be right there when you're about to do something with somebody. Maybe you're going to buy something from somebody. Yeah, the sale is important, that it's done correctly and fairly and all that stuff. But the community building along the way is probably more important because, like, okay, I got some pigs off Sean. Great pigs. He got some money off me, real money. You take it and spend it on the way home if you want. But those things are going to fade. They're going to fade away. Those pigs, they'll go through their farrowing, and then eventually it'll be sausage, and we will flush them down the toilet. And the money probably already spent. If I know Sean, probably already spent it. Spent on a beer, probably. But the relationship goes on forever. And if you did a bad thing, like if there was a misunderstanding and I said, go hell, you won't forget that either. And then when my name would come up, he'd say, oh, that guy, oof. But so you don't want that. You want to be very careful to protect that. And I think what we have to do is we have to say, I am going to protect this ability to build community. And me especially, because I like to joke around and I like to tell jokes and I like to rib people and, break people's eggs and stuff like that. You really have to be careful because you don't always know who you're dealing with. I've made jokes with people and found out later on that they were kind of offended by it. And I had to go back and say, sorry about that. I was just kidding. But this community building process is not just okay, we'll have an event, we'll bring everybody together, we'll put name tags on everybody, and we've got community. No. You've moved it a little way down the field. And is it going to stay there? Not necessarily. It is a constant drive that you have to have and that we all have to have in order to do this. And I'll tell you what is going to help people to do this. Yeah, I'll tell you what's going to help people to do this. I told yous all that we had a meeting last night and there was an idea. We had an idea. I don't know who had the idea. Probably me. And I mentioned it to Aaron. This is Aaron the Barn Geek. I've known Aaron for long time, 10 years anyway. 10 years. Anyway. And I mentioned something to him. We talked about something. Aaron designs barns. And Aaron is not an architect, and he is not an structural engineer. I don't even know if he graduated high school. He probably did, but he never has mentioned where he graduated in his class. So he's not certified. He's not any of that stuff, but he design a barn, and he's designed some beauties. And if you go to barngeek.com, I recommend that you do. You can see some of his work. But anyway, he designs barns, right? And then Parker Holmes comes into my life, and Parker Holmes likes to saw boards, and he likes to saw timbers and things like that. And Parker says to me, if I could, I would get up and saw in the morning and saw until I go to bed at night. I love sawing. I love my mill. I love the area that I saw in. I love handling logs. I love it all. I love sawdust. And so I got to thinking, well, what if you could bring these two guys together and they could, get something going? Because this guy likes to saw lumber. This guy likes to design barns. And we got other people that like to build stuff, but. So the idea that I think was floated, and again, I don't remember if it was my idea or not, but it's a darn good idea. It's probably Aaron's idea. It's a good idea. Is we get a design for a cabin, and we give that design to Parker. Parker cut out. We have it ready to go here on Baker's Green Acres for Tribe Day. We look it over real close, maybe on Friday, and then Saturday morning, after we have our opening ceremony and pledge allegiance to the United States flag, we inform people that there's being a cabin built at the campground. And then all day long, people can go there and they can see the progress of this cabin. They can even help if they want. And we plan to videotape it, and a person can go right to the monitor and back it up and then hit play and watch the thing just being built in, a faster speed. I think Joe can do that. I'm sure he can, but, I hope we can get that done. And so we sat and discussed this, and I felt like it was a really powerful environment. And then it was like something else took over. It was the collective intellect of the people that were in the room, the enthusiasm. I'm not sure really what it was, but I have a relationship with these people, for quite a while now. And, it's been through thick and thin, really thick and thin. And we got to a point and it was like, okay, we got it. We got it. You're going to provide this. You're going to provide this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to provide this. Here's the location. Bring your tools. You can camp for free, And then on Sunday Skills Steering Day, we'll have the mill running, and Parker can be machining boards to show people, how that process works. And it seemed like it would work for everybody. Everybody would benefit from this. And it was just a beautiful thing. It was good, it was true, and it was beautiful. And so that's what I wanted to focus on. And we got it done. When everybody left, I was like, why don't we do that all the time? Why is it I'm always trying to do things alone, and just having to power through stuff where it seemed like a very light thing to do. Great meal. My wife prepared wonderful pastured poultry, and Tatum was tearing it up, serving and filling water glasses and stuff. We had a good time. We had a really good time. And it was powerful. And so I think this is what will keep you going. When you build community, the magic happens. The wonderfulness of that happens. Now, there is the driving force of building community because wonderful things will happen. There is that. That's great. But there is the part of you better build community because you're going to need them, because when bad things happen, that's when you really need community to come together. And community really, they do come together when there's tragedies. They do. So I think it is essential to do this. And an add-on to the wonder of the meeting that we had last night was Aaron was talking about a building that he's designed, and that so many thousand square feet, so many thousand board feet, and what it would be used for, like a venue for weddings and things like this. And somebody said something about, well, yeah, we can get together and have a barn raising. And that hit me like, well, Amish people do that. They have barn raisings. And when you ever watch that, I've seen a video on that. Well, I don't think they were raising a barn, but they were moving a barn. About a million Amish guys run there and they pick this barn up and they're walking along with it. But you always kind of wonder when you see that, how do they? I mean, they're like ants, like they all know what to do. And I don't know, I don't feel as though we can do that, right? But we haven't tried. And so I think I said to Aaron last night at some point, I said, could you direct a barn raising like that? And he said, absolutely. Now, I believe him. That was the thing, is when he said that, I was like, whoa, I believe you. I believe Aaron what he said. Is Aaron on here? Yes, he is. I believe he could. Because, he's demonstrated that he does what he says, and he says what he does, and he can do this. And I thought, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to be able to put out on the tribe, which we're closing on 10,000 members in the tribe, and we would say something like, okay, we're going to have a barn raising. Here's the barn that we're going to raise. Here's pictures of it. And you all can come and camp at the farm, and we'll roast a pig, bring a dish to pass, and bring your work gloves. Now, if I had the opportunity to go something like that, I would, because then I've participated in that. I've done the thing, so then I have the power. But if I went someplace and there was a barn raising going on, I want to hang out with those people. Those are the ones that I want to be with. Like when you have a class and you're going to butcher chickens and people come to it, those are the people I want to hang around with. Beef butchering, hog butchering classes. Those are my people. Those are the people I want to be with. So same thing with barn raising. And all of a sudden it's like, wouldn't that be fun? And we could videotape it, and we could maybe somebody steps forward, Matt Kolvac, and says, I can head up that crew, or I could be that crew. I could be a crewman on that crew to build these dwellings and stuff. But anyway, we're gonna do that first cabin over on the campground, and you'll be able to see that Tribe Day. I'm going to remind you a bunch of times, because I think that's going to be fantastic. And then I think we will, if it works out, we'll do it next year. Or heck, maybe we'll have a class on it to where we get another kit delivered and we say, who would like to come and help build one of these? Can I see a show of hands? Hey, let me ask you right now. How many of you would say, hey, I'd like to do that? How many of you would consider that, to come and do something like that? Let me see a show of hands here, so I just get a feel for it. I sure would, especially if my wife was cooking. Okay, Nancy's with us. Okay, let's see what we got here. So that's my thing for the night. I think community is paramount, and it doesn't happen just because we bring people together. I mean, little bits and pieces do, but I think you have to really say, okay, what are we going to do here? There has to be a concerted effort to build that community around you, right? And the way my life has gone, and I don't know why this is like this. I think maybe it's because I might be fairly intelligent or middle of the road intelligence, but looking back, there were times when people really insulted me and it went over my head. So I've always hung around with everybody. When I was in high school, I played some sports, not all. I had a hot rod car, and I hung around with what they called motorheads. I did like to party, so I was playing sports, I was driving a hot rod, and I liked to party, just beer. And I hung around with, but I hung around with people that did everything, and it was like, well, it wasn't my thing, but I hung around with them. I wasn't like a jock, and I wasn't like a freak, or I wasn't a motorhead. I kind of hung around with everybody. I got along with everybody, and I still do, for the most part. Um, and I think that's part of it too. You have to accept. Well, I know you don't have to accept, but a spirit of acceptance is not a bad thing. I mean, there's not too much that I wouldn't accept. Well, there's a few things that I won't accept anymore that I was accepting of and did, but I won't anymore just because I don't like where their agenda seems to be going. And I have kids here, and I just don't. There's no need for it. And you kind of, when you accept it, you you what's the word? When you accept it, you reinforce to the person that's participating in it that it's okay. And if we don't accept that here, then the person might think, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't be, whatever. So we accept most things, but not everything. Okay, what do we got here? What do we got? That's it for me. I've said everything that I'm going to say, I think. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, but now I have kind of a laser sharp focus about when we do these things. Hey, the real marrow of these things is the community. When you have a positive influence on somebody, that lasts forever. Negative influence, that does too, unfortunately. But it can be turned around. It can be turned around. I've been insulted. I've insulted people, and then I've gone back later and said, sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Sean Wise says, it really felt like we went home, even though we have never been there before. Can't wait to go back. Oh, when Sean came here, he's looking around saying, man, I know this place. Hey, Crunchy Mom is with us. Nance is with us. Dave and Sonia is with us. They should have been here last night. That would have really rounded out the powerhouse. And the Barn Geek is with us. 100% brother. Thank you. Okay. They kept and practiced generation information that was passed down and used. And we need to carry that on, right? Us older folks. Keith Sutton says, I will come. You know what? Those trusses I'm about this close to buying the 6x6s. I priced them today. I know how many I need. And that has to happen before Tribe Day. We have to get those trusses up. I need to if I can make it. I'm buying land as we speak. Mixed media art girl. Mixed media art girl. All right. Well, I wonder, Mixed Media Art Girl, if you're in Michigan. TL Scott says he will come. Hand pink waving. What's that? Gary Rockwell, he says he will come. All right. Do not take part in the lie. Carbooble. Which lie are you talking about? There's so many of them. We're not talking about the moon landing. cool. Anyway, I had a great day today, you guys. I had a great day, great weekend. We had a calf born Saturday morning, right before the right before the class started. I could see that the cow in question, her name is Face. She was down there, and I could see her down there, and her head was down, and it looked like she was eating or licking something, because it's like 600 yards away. And so I went down there on my motorcycle, and sure enough, there was a little bull calf, and his legs were still wet, so he had just been born, like maybe daybreak, and he was down there for a couple hours. We wanted to make sure that he got something to drink, and then I sent the kids down with the Jeep to bring him up. And this was pretty cool. Covey is interning here. He's 19. He's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Doesn't have a lot of farm experience. Hasn't seen a whole lot as far as what we do here. And he's taken to it very well. And he jumps in the Jeep next to Frank, the 12-year-old, driving the Jeep. And they go down into the field and get this calf and put it in the Jeep, and then bring it up and put it into the petting zoo area. And that's where the calf will be, from now on. And so he got to understand why we take the calves really soon after they're born. And Face, the mom, isn't phased at all. She's more interested in the hay pile. And the calf, when he sees us, he thinks food, and he's a loud little thing. So he's a bull calf. That's not the greatest thing, but it'll work out. I would have much rather have had a heifer. All right, so that's it. We are going to have our consultation call tomorrow, or our farmer support group call. If you are in the tribe, you get consulting with moi on every other Wednesday night. That's the way we're doing it right now. We will go every Wednesday night if we have to, but it's a Zoom call. So I think you can have probably 16 people on there before their pictures get too small. And so far, we've only had a handful of people that have come to the consulting calls, which puzzles me, because if you call me and want to talk to me on the phone for an hour, I charge $100. If you want me to come to your farm, I charge $200 an hour. And people do. And I guess what I'm telling them is good stuff, because I keep getting calls like that. And I don't mind, but I do have to make the pain point high enough so I'm not just, somebody calling on the phone just wanting to chat, which I do some of that too. But, consulting that's business. We get right down to business. And the thing about consulting that I've learned, if you're in idle conversation or just chit chat, and you tell somebody, oh, well, maybe you should set a cross fence on that field so you can graze. It kind of goes over. It's like, maybe you should. But when somebody is paying you for consultation, they're paying you to say, you are screwing up here. You need to do it this way. They're paying you to do that. They're paying for the no pooper, right? And so when I get paid to do it, I feel good about doing it. If somebody has me over for dinner, I'm not going to comment on what they're up on. That's not cool. All right, Andy's with us. Oh yeah, you guys, right? Let's mess up YouTube and hit the thumbs up, please. If everybody hit the thumbs up, we'll be as big as the NRA before you know it. Okay, Mixed Media Art Girl. Oh no, that's unfortunate. You are so far. I'm in Colorado for the moment. Oh, okay. Are you in a schoolie by any chance? Andy's on wild. You're on vacation, huh, brother? Sarah Palin, the Sarah Palin, governor of Alaska. Oh, Sarah Perrine. I want to learn about processing mangalites of pigs and understand you teach classes. I do. We have a good time. You should come and take one of our classes. I wish I could learn the traditional methods from Hungary. Well, stop wishing and come to one of our classes, because that's what we do. We do seam butchery, and we learned it from Chris and Christopher Wiesner and his lovely wife Isabel. And they're not Hungarian, they're Austrians, but they came over, and I went to several of their classes and learned the seam butchery method. And then I've kind of honed it a little bit, and I've tweaked it a little bit myself. But if you come, I will show you how I do it. Can you share what you offer or where I can find out more? Surely. You can go to theanyonecanfarmexperience.com and look under Anyone Can Farm. Classes, all that good stuff. And the prices and all that stuff are there. We have the facilities that you would need on our farm, and we do the first class November 1st. And so I think we're going to do 2 butchering classes this year. We did last year, and we have 12 to 16 people. With our new configuration, I think we can get away with 16. And that means we kill 2 pigs. So you wind up with 4 halves laying on the table. We kill on Friday, scald, scrape, and eviscerate. We get the halves laid out on the table. It's cold then. When we come at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, Saturday, the carcasses are set up. They're hardened. And then we break them down into primal cuts. And then some of the primal cuts, we take them further into subprimal cuts. From the primal cut stage, it's pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then we have what's called the charcuterie class, where we start at the halves, and we go over the primals again, because that's so important. So that's the overlap. And then we go into the subprimals, and a primal would be like, say, the front shoulder. That is actually a primal. They call it the butt, right? And then we break that down into the pieces that you would see in Hungary, not so much what you see in the States. What you see in the States usually is like the Budweiser edition of it. And this is before Dylan Mulvaney, before the gay guy on the cover or on the can. But Budweiser just being a kind of a quick, cheap, inexpensive beer compared to a good European lager, I guess. I don't know. I don't use it, but when you do seam butchery and the type of butchering that we do, the only saws that we use are hand saws, and there's just a very few bones that we have to cross cut it on. But the American way of doing it is chill the carcass down until it's almost frozen, and then run it through a bandsaw. And it just destroys the carcass. It absolutely destroys it, because it frays the meat. So when you get that pork chop, it's all frayed on the side. Whereas if it's cut with a sharp knife, it's very clear on the side. All right. Sarah says, thank you so much. I am new to this, but I have been disappointed by my butcher. Yeah. A butcher usually is a guy that is a facility manager, and then he hires a bunch of $10 an hour employees. They're not skilled, and they say, make this cut, make this cut, make this cut. And you know, after a while they develop some skill, but they're still very low paid people. And I find that the biggest problem there is with using um, a butcher shop like a USDA shop is they don't follow directions. That's the big thing. I want this, and you don't get that. That's the big problem. Um, all right, time for me to learn. Yeah, right on. About everything you need to be learning. You leave it in the hands of other people, then you're at their mercy. Where if you can process your own pigs, it's so much different. And I would say it's actually easier than the process that you go through to, okay, get the pigs in the trailer. Oh, well, let's step back up from that. Okay, let's hook up the trailer. Well, I don't have a trailer. Okay, let's go borrow the trailer. Oh, the lights don't work. Oh, let's get the lights fixed. You know, trailers are a pain. I did that for years before we swore off the USDA shops and said, no, we can do this ourselves. And so now when I'm going to butcher a pig, I turn the tractor on and I put my 22 rifle up on the tractor. I go out there, the pigs come right to the fence because they think they're getting fed. And then boink, right between the eyes, the pig goes down, drop a chain over the fence, usually have a boy in the bucket of the tractor, and he jumps down and puts the chain around the back leg. I pick it up, bring it out, give it the stick, quick stick with a knife right here. All the blood comes out. The pig is completely dead by the time I get to the shop with it. We hose it off, or we weigh it, we hose it off, we scald it, scrape it, do a quick burn, singe, eviscerate, slam that baby in half, and we are done in about an hour and 45 minutes on a good sized pig, you know, like a 400 pounder. And then it's laid out on the table till the next day. We have to wait until it sets up before we can process it. So that's a whole lot easier for me than hook up the trailer. Now get the pigs in the trailer. Oh yeah, they're gonna go right in. Yeah. Hey, you guys, come on, get in here. No, not you. You get in here. You know, it doesn't really work that way. They don't want to go in the trailer. They don't know what it is. And I know some Einstein is going to say, well, just put the feed up in there. Yeah, I've done that. And like 3 of them will go in, and then the rest of them come in and those 3 split. It happened. You know, it's hard to load pigs. And we have a system to load them, but it's a whole lot easier to go to the fence and say, do I want you or do I want you? I want you. So that's the one that you shoot. It's a whole lot easier. And then there's no, I mean, some people have to drive a couple hours to the butcher shop. For me, it's like an hour and 45 minutes. And I got to get there, and then I got to get home. And by the time I get home, it's after lunch. So you eat lunch, and then the day's shot. I mean, it's really hard to get going. Whereas because I'm driving, right? Whereas if I go out there with a tractor, bang, stick, come back, scald, scrape, split in half, lay it on the table, then it's like, okay, I'm here, I'm working already, I'm all loosened up. I still got another couple hours before lunch, and then eat lunch, and then I, just jam it the rest of the afternoon. So really, homesteading is about getting things done. You have to get things done. And if you set your day up in such a way that you know, like yesterday, no, I won't go into it. All right, Sarah, I'll see you at one of our classes. Okay, here's the barn geek. Listen to this. He says, a barn raising is a spectacular demonstration of community and action. Yeah. Then we need to do that. Okay. Mixed media art girl. The jab at Bud. They deserve it. A jab at Bud. Oh yeah, yeah. It just goes to show. I mean, they're not there. Bud didn't do that. Bud Light did not do that to get at us. That they don't care about us. The only thing they really care about is that we buy that, and I don't buy that, and I wouldn't. I don't think you should buy it anyway. But if you're going to drink beer, why would you drink that? You know, that's just gross. But now no one will ever buy it again. I mean, I don't think it will ever come back. Um, but I think what you're seeing there is a demonstration of fascism. That's what I think that you're seeing. Fascism is privately held, government controlled. So the government right now is into this whole equality and hate whitey and all that stuff. And so the equality thing is, well, let's take the beer that all these, middle America guys, white guys, hetero guys that like NASCAR and all that stuff. Let's take that beer and say, we got to make it fair for the trans community. Right. And so they're being told to do it. It wasn't an internal thing. It wasn't just some marketing babe that said, well, this would be a good idea. It has to go through a lot of levels of scrutiny before they actually make a change to the can. And they knew that they were going to be biting it. They knew, and they were forced to do it anyway. And now who else did it? Target did it. And who else? I mean, I guess they're like dropping like flies. I'm never going to do it. I'll tell you that. But remember a long time ago, it was enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. That's what this is. It's a show. Why should we care? We don't drink Bud anyway. And if you did drink Bud, drink Coors or something else. Or they're all the same. I mean, all right. Yeah, mixed media babe says also puts shards of bones. Yeah, it does. Sarah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you so much. I'm actually working with a medical clinic in Hungary called Paleo Medicina to cure my breast cancer. And they talk about Mangalitsa equals medicine. Yeah. Yeah, we might be able to help you out. It sounds like you're new to this. Mangalitsa pigs that are fed bad diets are going to produce poor fat and not fat that will be beneficial for what you need. You have to have Mangalitsa pigs that are fed on primarily forages or small grains. You cannot feed them just corn and soy, and worst of all, crude protein. Cannot do that and expect to get a product. What you need is fat. That's what you need, Sarah. And if you would like, are you in the States? Please contact the farm and we can get some of that sent to you. We're getting ready to knock down a big fatty before Tribe Day. So there's going to be a lot of extra fat. So I think we can help you out. It's a coincidence that I have Mangalitsa cross pigs, hoping to have purebreds in the next year. Yes, my butcher made so many mistakes. I want to process my own. Yeah. Hey, I've had crosses forever. And I started out with just regular blondes and swallow bellies. I mean, we've been doing it a long time. I think we're longer than anybody. We're the longest standing producers of Mangalitsa, the longest. There's people that started before me, but they've long gone out. Heath Putnam was before me. and I don't really know who was before him. He was the original importer of swallows into the States. And then there was a guy that came behind them that imported blondes actually to my farm. And then him and I didn't see eye to eye, so he split. And I had breeding stock still. And I just got reds. I got 3 red gilts off Sean Wise, and I got a red boar off Copperhead Farm. They're down south of me, some Marine friends of mine. So I'm starting over. The girls that I have, I'm going to let them farrow one more time, and then it's curtains for them and the boar too. They're all big, and I've gotten lots and lots out of them, and we will be using them in the fall. We'll be using, I use the sows. We make sausage out of them. Actually, the cuts are really good. Andy says, best class I ever took. Drove 920 miles each way. Yeah. in a dirty old Dodge pickup. I couldn't believe that. The thing had a coat of dust on it. I used a mobile slaughterer who took the carcasses to the butcher. I was vegan most of my life, so I'm learning as fast as I can. Oh, wow. Another thing that you want to look into, Sarah, and I'm not kidding, because the business that we are in, a lot of people who are coming to us have health problems. So I sincerely wish that you would call the farm. If you go to bakersgreenacres.com, you'll find the phone number. Now, I'll just give it to you. It's 231-825-0293. And talk to my wife about this. And Mangalitsa is a good way to go. It's a good way to get started on a fat regimen. But then grass-fed beef, I think, is more compatible and going to be easier on you than pork fat. But maybe I'm missing something. If you're working with people over there in Hungary, maybe they know what they're doing. Mark, what do you do with the parts you don't keep? You mean like the stuff that normally I would put in a Spam can? We try to be as careful as we can with the animals that we're taking their life to feed us. So about the only thing that we don't use on a Mangalitsa would be the toenails, the fur, the intestines. We do not use the intestines. The butthole, I don't use that. We have used the stomach in the past, and I would like to start doing that again, but right now we don't. It didn't go too well. We don't use the blood. We're just not big blood people. We know how to process that, but generally nowadays the blood just goes out on the ground. We let it go. The fur goes in a compost pile with the toenails and the intestines and the butthole. And then once, like let's say we bone out the front shoulders, the bones, the bigger bones will get sawn in pieces, and then they'll be boiled down to make broth. So there's not a lot that we don't use. And then when those bones have been boiled for 48 hours, then they go in the garden. Yeah. Or they go to biochar. We make biochar out of them. So really nothing goes to waste. Absolutely nothing goes to waste, because when stuff goes in the compost pile, it still is going to feed somebody. There's somebody in there that could use it. If we were to, let's say we were to strip the ribs, sometimes we do when we're making bacons, there's a way that you can put a rib puller on, and it strips all the meat off of the ribs. So you get a just a rib bone, and there's very little meat on that. If you cooked it, you would get almost nothing off. So something like that will either go to the dogs or the chickens. And a lot of times I give stuff to the chickens first because the chickens will do a real good job of going over and getting all the meat off. But then they can't eat bone. And then I can take it out of there and it can either go to the dogs from there or it can go to, say, biochar and make charcoal out of the bone. That's pretty good stuff. So nothing goes to waste. Okay, Barn Geek. Sure is easier. The skills I learned at the pig butchering class with you have saved me so much time and grief. Way worth the money many times over. Thank you. Thank you. That was a good class. I remember that very well. That's when we owned the house next door and you stayed over there. I remember you calling home. I thought that was nice of you to do that. Okay, Sarah says, my pigs are 100% on grass pasture and they get no corn or soy. They get organic produce from a store once a week. I feed Scratch and Peck Pig Grower. I don't know what Peck Pig Grower is. It's the healthiest food I can find. Peck Pig Grower. One thing, Sarah, you're asking me, so I'll tell you. You want to be very careful when you get your pig grower, right? Look on there, and if it says crude protein, do not feed that. Do not feed that. Do some research on what crude protein is that's fed to pigs, and it is other pigs. And we don't do that with cows. We do it with chickens. I don't think we should do it, but I don't eat that food. And when you feed crude protein to your pigs, there is a very good possibility that the pigs that they are using for that crude protein is coming out of the CAFO pig production facilities. And those pigs, they could be sick. You never know because they feed them a subtherapeutic dose of antibiotic and other things too. And they don't have a choice. And so the symptoms that they would have from the diseases that they would have are masked. And yeah, so we wound up with a little bit of a worm problem one time at our last farm. And the question was to the Air Force doctors, the worm problem wasn't with the pigs. It was with when Jill was changing a diaper on a little kid, there was a worm in there. Just so happens the doc that we had was very well versed in overseas operations. And in this country, worms in people are few and far between. But if you live in South America, it's a normal occurrence. You worm yourself regularly. Ivermectin. And ivermectin is something you should look into too, Sarah. For sure. With that that thing that you're going through, that irritation. Ivermectin, you should look into it. And if you don't find anything, I can point you in the right direction. If you do, contact us. Okay, healthiest food you can find. Right on. TL Scott, oh yeah, do a podcast on line reading and all that stuff, please. A podcast. I don't do podcasts, but yeah. Sarah says, I'll sign up your classes as soon as I can secure someone to watch my farm. Thank you so much. I've been watching your videos the past year, but my cancer has been a distraction. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I think that from the last couple of years, I don't think it's a hard sell to convince people that sick people are valuable to certain people. And a lot of these problems that we have that are so prevalent in our society, they've been giving us the same cures for them for how many years, and they don't seem to work. But those cures that they give us are very expensive, and somebody makes a lot of money off of a patient. And it doesn't look reputable to me. It doesn't. It never did. My mother died of lung cancer, and it was terrible. It was just terrible. That old truck is a fine piece of equipment. Oh, how I dispose of my boars. You can't eat them, no matter what anybody will tell you. I mean, you can eat anything. You can eat roadkill if you want. But if it's a boar that has been active and you've been using him, you can listen to people on the internet, but then I would listen to people who've been doing it for a long time and actually own a butcher shop like I do. When you process a boar, it's going to smell like urinating on a campfire. That's the smell. And it will taste that way too. I guarantee it. Now, some people will say, well, I don't smell that. And I don't know what's wrong with them. I really don't. I don't know how you can't smell it. And they'll say, well, not Mangalitsa. They don't have that. It's like, I hear the dumbest things on the internet. But do what you want. But what we do, I tell you what, if you want to come here when I butcher my boar, because I do butcher my boars, but not for me. We butcher them and we put equal parts of that boar in 10-pound bags and we freeze it for our dogs. We have Great Pyrenees guardian dogs they run security on the farm. They keep all the pastured poultry safe. Without them, you couldn't do it. So they got to eat too. So the boar doesn't go to waste because I would be buying dog food for these guys, and dog food. I mean, Sarah, you should hear this. Like, why are dogs getting cancer? Why do you hear that all the time? Oh, my dog died of cancer. Dogs only used to die of old age and getting hit by cars. Now they're dying of everything that humans are dying, right? Because of the food. And same thing with humans. It's input in, and that's the result. And so the nice thing about the human body is that it is regenerative. So if you have a problem, it's working its way out. Replace it with good fat cells. Okay, doesn't Mangalitsa fat contain oleic acid or proteins that make it so healthy? I don't know about that oleic acid and all of that. I don't know. I don't know, man. Honestly, that's the first time I'm hearing that. Maybe I've heard it before, but that's not my. I've never really focused on it. The cures they give us almost always kill us or ruin our immune system. The cancers often come back and we fight it the second time. I've had a lot in my family, friends, and coworkers. I think that it seems to me, that a lot of it seems to be environmental. And the environment is on the outside of you and on the inside of you. So if you're eating the things that you shouldn't be, it seems as though that constant irritation is what causes things to give. We've had a butcher keep our meat and send boar meat mixed in with crappy product. My grandmother got so mad back in the 60s. Ooh. Yeah, that would be bad. I would not like that. We delivered some pigs to a guy out in Vermont one time, and one of his hired people had come out here and got a boar from me. And when I was out there, it was several years later, and I said, "Hey, so where's that boar you got?" "Oh, we butchered him." "You did? How did that work out?" "Oh, great. He was just great." "Oh, all right." And they had a bed and breakfast on their farm. And so we were staying there for a night, and they said, "Hey, anything that's in the fridge is fair game. Good." And wow, the fridge had lots of cool stuff in there, sausage and bacon and eggs, farm fresh eggs, and all this stuff. So it's like cool. And in the back of my mind, it was that they butchered that boar. And I was upstairs, and Jill was cooking. And as soon as that smell came up the stairs, it was like, did somebody urinate on a campfire down there? And we couldn't eat it. We just could not eat it. But some people seem to think it's cool. I don't know. Okay. I would like to learn to make my own dog and cat food. Foid? Foid? What do you mean foid? Well, they eat everything raw. So a dog will eat a hoof. A dog will eat a spleen. So you just put equal, like you have everything laid out after you've butchered the animal, and then you put equal parts of everything in a bag, and you put a twist tie on it, and you freeze it. And then what we do is we'll just take 10 pounds out, cut the bag open, and put it by the back of the shop, and the dogs will take it, and they'll drag it off, and they'll fight over it, and they'll take pieces off and bury it here and there, and they stay really healthy. If you have a Great Pyrenees or another big breed of dog and you're feeding it commercial dog food, you'll notice that they will drool a lot. But if you put them on raw meat, they don't. And it's interesting to watch what they go for first. So if you cut the ear off and you put that in a bag, a dog will take that ear first, or you lop the snout off and that goes in a bag. Oh, that's gone. We want that. And we don't skin them. We are just cutting them up in pieces, actually, with the hide on. And the dogs, they eat that too. Yes, it's the food. People don't see the connection. Professor Thomas Safran treats cancer successfully metabolically. Paleomedicina keeps you in a deep state of ketosis so the cancers can't grow. Well, it sounds like you are doing the research on it, so I appreciate that. I think a lot of it's here. You got to say, I'm beating this. That's all there is to it. I'm beating it. But as soon as you succumb or bend the knee to their methods, like cut, burn, and chemical, holy smokes. How can you trust these guys? How can you trust them now? I can't. I mean, maybe there's some MDs that you could, but anybody that's going to direct me to that, I would say, I would just say, no, I'm not going to do it. Mangalitsa is notably high in omega-3 fats and protein strands that develop more like beef than any other breed of pigs, meaning the meat is juicier and there is intramuscular marbling. That is my adopted daughter, Emily Rosa. Ann Putnam says HCQ. Hydra. Tell us what that is, Ann. Bad docs, practices, medicines have drawn me towards the countryside, growing my own food, making my own medicine, doing my own dental work. Even broken bones, I take care of myself now. Yeah. You have to. You always did. We were sold a bill of goods that um, you can go and punch the clock, and you'll get paid enough that you can pay this guy to take care of this for you. So you can eat whatever you want. Don't exercise, don't take care of yourself, and this guy will give you a pill and it'll fix you right up. And even though he gives you the pill and it doesn't fix you right up, we still kind of believe it. We believe him. Where now we're starting to see that, the majority of the people who died because of procedural issues, and the procedures were being directed by them. I mean, come on. You got to see that now. And I realize that a lot of people are because they're just saying it on the news now. We knew in 2020, if you listen to the show in 2020, I was like, after the first week, it was like bullshit light was going on. And I'm like, no way, don't buy it. They're doing this. Okay, Ann says, I totally agree with that. Have been increasing the medical herbs I grow. And you know what, Ann? A lot of them are out there anyway. They're already there. You don't have to grow them. I have a very interesting thing happened. I have 2 fields that I run mangalitzas on. Their grow fields, is the way I put it. So the mangalitzas will go and they'll totally dig them up and take everything out. And so I grow things in there for them. And it's kind of fun, and it rotates the crops. And, it's just, I've learned a lot through doing it, and create a lot of feed for the pigs. So I have 2 half-acre fields, I guess. And I was going to plant them with the exact same thing. And it was a mixture of field peas and kale. Real good, cool weather stuff. And it just grows really thick, and you get a lot of forage out of it. Well, these fields are separated by probably 50 yards. One field, and as soon as I planted them, we got zero rain. So one field completely covered itself in lamb's quarter, and it's up a foot. And it's the darkest, most uniform cover that I believe that I've seen with lamb's quarter. It looks like somebody planted it with a drill. It's just beautiful crop. And then it rained last Sunday, and now I can see kale in there. I can see the different color in there. So we may get a big stand of kale in there. I don't know. And we may even get the field peas. I haven't looked at it that closely today. And, it changes very quick. Another field I planted with the exact same combination. It came up with a weed called amaranth. A very good cover, not complete, but a good cover. And I was planning on tilling that down and then getting planted on there what I want. And then I thought, why would I do that? The pigs really like the amaranth. We really like it. We eat it all the time. We eat we eat knotweed, we eat lamb's quarter, love lamb's quarter. Man, that's good stuff. But I don't know what caused that. I could see if it was a mixed thing of weeds, but these were complete. And the only time I've ever seen anything like that was during a drought. Huh. Sarah, the oinks and grunts are saved for the very best dogs. Okay. Ann says, yes, we added comfrey. Yeah, my dogs eat it all the time. Yarrow, wormwood, things that were not already growing here. Yeah. It's I'm starting to wonder, if the creation story is correct and this creation was created for us, shouldn't everything that we need be right there? So what if we were eating lamb's quarter all the time? Would we have eternal life? Who knows? Because you don't see it at the store. And there's not a lot of information on it, although more and more I'm getting information on it. We have acres and acres of false dandelion. The Latin name translates to for the hogs. It's actually toxic to horses, but sure enough, my pigs are digging them up. I want to plant pastures like you. Yep. There's some videos out there that you can watch of how we did it and some of the combinations that we used. But, the environment changes so much. Like last fall, I mean, maybe it was late summer, I planted what turned out to be daikon radishes. They were in a bag, and the bag was in the greenhouse, and the label faded, and you could see, but you just couldn't read it. It was faded just enough where everybody looked at it and says, I see letters there, but I just can't make it out. And so after years of keeping those things around, I just planted them. And I didn't know what they were, but they looked pretty consistent with other things that I plant, kind of radishy things. And so it turns out they were daikon radishes or forage radishes. And they came up last fall. And then we got a snow, and we got snowed again and snowed again. So they were just covered. And then when the snow left in the spring, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember you guys. I wonder what's going to happen. Maybe I should just till them in and put field peas there. But I watched them, and they took off. They took right off. But it was a different growth pattern. The tops grew. We got like a fan coming off the top. And then all of a sudden they bolted and a beautiful yellow flower came out. But the bulbs on the bottom only got to be about that long, and they were pithy on the inside. So the pigs never even dug them up. They're still out there. So, but they ate the tops. Tops are all gone. So you can plant all kinds of things. I planted marijuana last year that Ballistic Mystic brought for seed saving day, and then I guess nobody wanted it, and so I'll just put it out there. Those things sprouted out of the ground like Christmas trees. I mean, they were as big as Christmas trees, but they came up really fast. And then one of my kids said, hey, I don't think you can have that many plants. And I was like, really? I thought it was legal now. And so I looked into it, and yeah, you can only have a certain number of plants. So I went out there and I ed them all down, and the pigs devoured them. I don't know, pot-fed pigs. Yeah. Ann Putnam says many of these herbs used to grow naturally here until they eliminated them with big ag. Yeah. You wonder how much of that was intentional, but you know what? It's a regenerative earth as well, and you see this all the time. Like you dig a pond, and then it starts to fill in first with cattails, and then lily pads, and then this and that, and before you know it, it's all reclaimed. You completely defoliate a field. See them do it around here all the time. They spray glyphosate like morons. They're spraying it everywhere. Like, oh, this stuff's safe, and they'll defoliate a field. But once they quit, Mother Earth covers herself again. None of their stuff really works. We a lot of times we think, oh, we're gonna destroy the planet with nuclear weapons. I don't even think we could, to be honest with you. I just don't believe it. yeah, the earth would reclaim herself. Okay, Sarah says, picky pigs. I was thinking sunflower would be fun for them too. Definitely radish and field peas. Sunflowers are cool. They really are cool. If you want to do something fun with sunflowers, I did this. I kind of was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I want to plant sunflowers just all over the place because I love them when they come up, and they just look so neat. And you can cut those heads off and throw those to the pigs. They love them. The stalks, not so much, but you can biochar the stalks. I mean, but it's just such a spectacular species because they grow so fast and they tower over everything. I just love them. And so I took a bucket, I put some biochar in it, I put some really nice compost in it, and I put some soil in it, and then I put like a pound of seed in it. And I mixed it all up. And then I was going around and I would just take a trowel and part the soil back and throw a handful in and then just step on it. And then I'd go to the next place. And I did it all over the place. And then that worked. That worked. Those things sprouted. I have a lot of them coming up all over the place. And then that bucket filled with water when it was near the garden and the sprinklers were on it. And so it was mud. And so then I took the rest of it and I just, and they sprouted in there. And I went around and I just take a handful of this mud out and go, and it would, the mud would go right down to the soil that was there. And the sprouts that were in there would take off as soon as it was a little drier. And then the roots would go down into the soil. So that's a really easy way to do it and plant them everywhere. You could even plant them on your neighbors, like just for fun. Did you plant that? No, it wasn't me. Nice, I can't wait to grow cannabis within the legal limit because honestly, that's plenty for me to be satisfied and then some. Yeah. Sarah's saying, how do you stop big ag? I'm surrounded by Christmas tree farms. So many herbicides with these farms makes me so sad. I know. I don't know. If it were me and I had the wherewithal to, and I were you, and I had the wherewithal to get out of that environment, I believe I would. I think I'd make it a priority. I'm not sure how much they use on Christmas trees. I've never even considered it. I know they spray them to color them, which is lame, but I don't know what else they use. I don't know if they use glyphosate in between them because the trees, I don't believe, are genetically modified to accept that herbicide. Sarah says, just like Chernobyl, get rid of the humans and nature fixes everything. Anne says, Sarah, you need to do an affidavit of trespass if it's affecting you. And then once it's unrebutted, you can file a claim. The affidavit stand as evidence in court. Wow. Sarah's saying, I keep thinking about your cannabis fed pigs. That would be valuable product. Hazelnut finished can't compete with cannabis finished. I wonder, do you live someplace, Sarah, where there are acorns, oak trees? Like here in northern Michigan, there's oak trees everywhere. And we are really lucky that there's parks around here that we can go to and nobody bats an eye if we're out there picking up acorns. And we have these little machines that you can push along. They're like golf ball picker uppers, but they're kind of chintzy, but they work good. And they'll pick up acorns like you read about. And we'll take IBC tote that's cut off, put it in the back of a pickup truck, and just load that thing. And then you come home and you just scoop them out with a scoop and just throw them to the pigs, and they chow them right down. It's a pretty good setup because the acorns are available in the fall, and we finish the pigs on acorns, not completely, but they're getting a lot of acorn. The acorns have tannic acid in them, and tannic acid, once it gets into the fat of the pig, will cure that cut. So if we take the back leg off of a pig and hang it up in our charcuterie room or our hanging room at 60 degrees thereabouts and 60% humidity, we just put a little salt on it, a little salt on the bone, and put a lanyard on it and hang it up. And in no time, we've got a top quality prosciutto that you would kill for. You would kill for good quality prosciutto. All right. People are running out of things to say, and I guess I am too. Kind of hungry. Didn't eat yet. It's 9:45. Appreciate everybody coming by. I hope you will go to theanyonecanfarmexperience.com and sign up to Tribe Plus. Helps this ministry continue, and then come to the consulting meeting tomorrow night. You get a Zoom call. You get a Zoom link. And then you can talk with me face to face and the other group of people that come as well. We have a good time. It's like a support group. Sarah, luckily here in Oregon, the worst herbicide is being phased out this year. Thank you, Ann. That's great advice. We are new to the farm, and the new Christmas tree farm owners rethinking herbicides. Huh? All right, good luck. Good luck, y'all. Good luck, Yuns. We'll catch. I got spent hazelnuts last year, and we have planted oaks. I've definitely gathered acorns this year. Yeah, the things that you want to use to pick up acorns, they're called bag a nut. Bag a nut. Bag dash a dash nut. Bag a nut. All right. We'll see y'all. All right. It's nice talking with you guys. Thanks. Remember, anyone can farm. Good night.